Hi everyone. My research topic is on microbes in the environment. Throughout this 8-week course, we learned a lot about microbes and their positive things that they do for us, as well as the negative. However, the role that microbes play in our environment was one of the things that I really enjoyed. You hear so many negative things about microbes that, for myself, I usually think that's all they do is negative things. And their particular role in the environment was very, very interesting to me. So at this point in the course, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what a microbe is, as much as we've talked about them. But if anyone doesn't know, microbes are too small to be seen with the naked eye, and they also can cause disease or fermentation. They also break down into prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So prokaryotes don't have a nucleus or membrane-bound organelles, and eukaryotes contain a nucleus and organelles, and they're enclosed by a plasma membrane. So some prokaryotes involve archaea and bacteria, and eukaryotes involve plants, animals, fungi, protozoa. So we are eukaryotes. I generally think of you as in eukaryote. That's how I kind of, break it down. If you look a little more into that, prokaryote cells, they don't have a nucleus. The cell size is smaller, the cell structure is unicellular, the DNA form, their DNA is circular, and they're more simpler compared to eukaryotic cells, which obviously they have a nucleus. The cell size will be bigger with those membrane-bound organelles. The cell structure is multicellular, and although some may be unicellular, and their DNA form is linear, which they would be more complex in comparison to prokaryotic cells. So microbes play a big role in our environment, some positive and some negative. Now, throughout the time of studying microbiology, I mainly hear about the negatives, especially when you're talking to somebody about it. But there are plenty positive roles that microbes play in the environment. So here I listed quite a few. So the positive ones, they focus on nutrient and element cycling, symbiosis with animals and plants, production of foods and fuels, medical, pharmaceutical, and biotechnological applications. And some negatives, they cause infectious disease, food spoilage, and decomposition. Now, while I am focused on the positives, I also think it's important to include the negative roles that they play on the environment as well. Now, when it comes to nutrient and element cycling of living systems, we have four points here: primary production, decomposition or biodegradation, nitrogen fixation, and production of oxygen. So, in primary production, that's when organisms take up CO2 in the atmosphere and they convert it to organic cellular material. And that process is also known as CO2 fixation. With decomposition or biodegradation, that's when complex organic materials are broken down and it forms carbon that can be used by other organisms. And nitrogen fixation, that's a process that's found only in some bacteria, and it removes nitrogen from the atmosphere and it converts it to ammonia, which is used by plants and animals. Nitrogen fixation also replenishes soil nitrogen removed by agricultural processes. Now, my favorite one is the production of oxygen. Now, I always thought that plants were the only things capable of, having photosynthesis. I didn't know that microorganisms also have photosynthesis. So, microorganisms like algae and cyanobacteria are capable of having photosynthesis. So that results in the production of oxygen in the atmosphere. And at least 50% of the oxygen on Earth are produced by photosynthetic microorganisms. So in symbiosis, microbes take part in beneficial and sometimes essential associations with plants, animals, insects, and fish. So in those associations, for example, bacteria and other microbes in the intestines of the animals and insects, they digest nutrients and produce vitamins and other growth factors. So the microbes that live in associations with humans, they protect their hosts and promote nutrition and health. So when they live on like certain body surfaces of humans or animals, that's basically called like normal flora. So that normal flora basically just protects us, and from infections. And as I said, also they promote nutrition, and just it's a bunch that they can do. Usually when people think about microbes like on their body, they want to use antimicrobial soap and just get rid of them. But they do a lot for us, which I thought was pretty interesting in terms of promoting our health and promoting nutrition and things like that. So before taking microbiology, I had no idea that microbes help produce food and fuels. So they basically, microbes play a role in the production of fermented foods. So, for example, yeast help manufacture beer, wine, and bread. Lactic acid bacteria are used to make yogurt, cheese, sour cream, buttermilk, and other fermented milk products. Now, last week we did a lab where we made yogurt at home, and it was kind of interesting. Like I didn't think that it was gonna turn out, the way it did. It like literally actually looked just like yogurt. So now I know we put like a piece of yogurt, in there, mix it with the milk, but it was actually cool watching, every hour for 8 hours to actually see how it changed. And with the first few hours of that lab, I was like, this isn't gonna work. It's not gonna turn into something. Maybe I did something wrong. But by the end of it, at the 8 and the 24-hour mark, I'm like, I actually see a difference. And also like the different levels in pH. So, I think it's pretty cool that microbes are also used to produce food, for us. Some things that we eat every day or buy from the store. And some people who are like, they hate germs and things like that. They hate microbes. I mean, I wonder if some of them even know that they have a role in helping us, get our wine or our cheese or, yogurt, other milk products and a bunch of other things. So I think that's a really important part of that as well. So microbes also play important roles in the medical and pharmaceutical world as well as the biotechnological world. So microbes are a source of antibiotic vaccines in the human and veterinary medicine, and they also play a role in recombinant DNA and genetic engineering. So with my current background, I knew a bit about microbes and what they did, but not necessarily as in depth as this course, talks about. Um, Now with vaccines, I know that they say microbes, create these diseases so they can help us, try to eradicate some of them. For example, the vaccines such as smallpox and polio, in countries that actually deployed vaccines, we were able to eliminate these diseases by the use of vaccines. Now I know, COVID is a controversial topic where everyone doesn't want the vaccine or they do want the vaccine. But whatever you decide, if you are a believer in vaccines, it may help at some point. I'm not saying it's going to be eradicated. It may be here forever, but these microbes are playing a role in helping us identify and understand exactly, what is going on or what we need to do to kind of, get rid of some of these things. Now, although microbes play such an important role in the medical aspect in vaccines and pharmaceutical world, um, microbes also have some, negative impacts. I'm not going to necessarily go into depth about the negative because I feel like, a lot of us know about the negatives of microbes. We're always taught about them and things like that. So I'm not going to touch on that, but I did want to go into depth with some of the positive things that they do for us and in our environment. And thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to your feedback.